I'm a very joyful, grateful, recovering drug addict, and my name is Ron. And it's really a treat to be participating in this convention. I had no idea this was going to happen. I came with a friend of mine for the weekend, and all of a sudden, a friend of mine who was supposed to share at this meeting, Gil, I don't know if you're here to hear Gil. If you are, I'm very sorry. He won't be speaking today. He got sick. He got the flu. And they saw me and said, hey, would you like to participate in this meeting? And I said, sure. I'm usually never at a loss for words, especially when it comes to Recovery and Narcotics Anonymous, so I said I'd be honored to do this, and here I am. And I want to thank God for another day clean and for this opportunity to share my experience, strength, and hope with you guys. And you know, what I would like to do in the beginning of this meeting, I know some of us are scattered a little bit, but if you would just turn to the person next to you and thank them for being clean today, I think that would start us off in a really good frame of mind. Thanks for being clean.
Thank you.
All right. Ain't it good to be clean? Ain't it good to be clean? Man, are we lucky? Are we blessed? Let's give NA a hand. I mean, really. God, you know, I look around the room, and Diana's here today, and some other friends of mine are here, and people that I've met different places around the country. Brendan and Barbara are sitting here from Sonoma, and I just think, like, from the worst thing that ever happened to me, active drug addiction, came the most incredibly wonderful, meaningful, purposeful life known as Recovery and Narcotics Anonymous. I mean, I am just a lucky, lucky guy. Through the grace of God, working through the program of Narcotics Anonymous, I just celebrated in November 18 years clean because of this program. Yeah. I really feel blessed. You know, I'm looking at Diana and I'm thinking, when I finally surrendered the illusion of control back in 1982, in November, actually it was Thanksgiving Day, I was in a hospital for 2 months. What happened, I had been around NA, and what happened is I got blessed with that gift of desperation that we talk about in our literature, and I wound up with endocarditis one night after shooting dope, and I wound up on these machines in this hospital for 2 months. And it was really a blessing in disguise, because I was on these machines and I was able to kick a habit while I was in the hospital, and I was laid up literally for 2 months, and from that hospital, I left that hospital and I went directly to a recovery house in Pasadena the next day. And when I got to this recovery house, I just want to share that when they drove me up, my mom and my sister had come out from New Jersey and had driven me up from San Diego, where I lived, up to this recovery house in Pasadena. And I'll never forget, man, when they dropped me off and I had this little suitcase with me, you know, and I looked at them and I was going into this place. I had no idea what the hell I was walking into. I just knew that I didn't want to use anymore. And it was suggested strongly that with the history that I had of heroin addiction for 20 years, that was probably a good idea going to this recovery house. I remember going up there and I felt like my life was over. And you know what? It was. And thank God that life was over, because Narcotics Anonymous has given me a brand new, just for today life. And Diana was there at this recovery house already, and I'll never forget, man, I was still so physically ill, and she's got like 7 pages of rules. So this house was a very strict, rigid, NA-based recovery house, right? And she's like, okay, are you ready now for the rule? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for the rules, you know. Yeah, you can't do this, and you can't do that, and if you do this, you're going to get that, and you can't. And she's going on, and I'm just sitting there going like, I'm watching her, and her lips are moving, and there's a sound coming out of her mouth. I didn't know what the hell she was talking about, you know. And then I'm sitting here next to Pam, and this is cool because I didn't know she was going to be sharing. Her husband, Lawrence, was like my, what they call, babysitter at this recovery house. And when you went to this place, it was such an ordeal. There's so many rules and regulations to learn that they literally put somebody with you 24 hours a day for the first 3 days to kind of show you the ropes. And her husband was that guy. And so once again, I'm standing here and I'm thinking, this is incredible. I mean, this is meaningful to me. This is unbelievable. I've got goose pimples all over me thinking that, look what I'm a part of. Look what God has allowed me to enjoy and to be a part of a day at a time through Recovery and Narcotics Anonymous. You know, and the topic for this workshop is Just for Today. And, you know, really, I think about this. I thought about this because they just like kind of laid this on me. Steve said, you know, would you do this and stuff? And I thought about it just for today. I'm thinking, what a wonderful, you know, thing to be able to share about. Because for people like us, drug addicts, and the way we lived our entire life, that's got to be one of the easiest concepts to grab onto around here, right? Just for today. What did we do in our active addiction? We didn't use for tomorrow. We sure didn't use for the day before. We were using just for today, right? When we went up to the street corner, I don't know about you guys, I grew up in New Jersey, and a lot of my using was, you know, I used to cop in Harlem, and I used to cop down a place called the Lower East Side of New York City, Alphabet City. You know, and somebody would come out of the place, and you would give that person money for a bundle. Back there they sold bundles of glassine envelopes full of heroin, right? And you gave him money for a bundle, and just for today, when he took your money, you had the faith that he was coming back with dope. And I think, what a concept, just for today. I mean, this has to be something that all of us can easily embrace. And I also have to think how much easier it makes the pain of living to embrace the concept of just for today. And our literature talks about that. Our literature talks about the spiritual principles that we embrace in Narcotics Anonymous. Our 12 steps and our 12 traditions are there to ease the pain of living. And in 18 years, I am beyond grateful to say that I have been able to ease the pain of living through the program of Narcotics Anonymous, through going to meetings just for today, through talking to a sponsor, somebody I trust, just for today, for being of service and being able, you know, I started doing H&I service work. Matter of fact, the first H&I meeting I ever went to, I had 90 days clean in this recovery house. And a guy named Eddie W., I think he still works there, was going to CYA on a panel. And he says, hey, Ron, guess what you're doing tonight? And I went, what? He goes, you're coming with me on an H&I panel. I didn't know what the hell H&I was, you know, 90 days in this recovery house. And he took me on a hospital and institution panel of Narcotics Anonymous in CYA, which you guys know what that's, that little mini penitentiary for baby gangsters, you know, and... You know, and we went into this meeting, and at 90 days clean, I was exposed to an atmosphere of recovery behind the walls, and here I am 18 years clean, and I still go into jails every month doing H&I work. You know, it's a part of the way I live just for today. You know, I think of how I've been able, I don't think about this all the time because, you know, we get caught up in living and we're doing things, and, you know, I have a lot of things going on in my life now and stuff, and I'm far removed from the horrors of addiction. But I think sometimes I stand still long enough at conventions like this, and I look around and I hear other people share, and I think just how miraculous, how really miraculous it is that just for today, all of us in this room aren't using drugs. And even maybe more miraculous than not the using of drugs is just think for a minute to yourself that just for today, I would hope all of us, if not most of us, did not have that overwhelming, uncontrollable desire, compulsion, obsession to go and get high. Remember what that was like? Remember how nothing on earth could stop that? Not our family, not our employers, not judges, parole officers, probation officers. Nothing could stop that overwhelming, uncontrollable compulsion to use drugs. And God, working through this program of Narcotics Anonymous, just for today has done that for this addict. And I would have to say for probably all of us in this room. That's miraculous. That's nothing short of miraculous. You know, one of the things that has brought me comfort over and over again is the words, just for today. Just for today, my thoughts will be on my recovery. Living and enjoying life without the use of drugs. I got to tell you something. There's been a lot of days in 18 years that is the only thing that brought me comfort. I mean, I've been involved in some painful ordeals in recovery, mostly brought upon by myself. Like, has anyone ever been in an addictive relationship? Probably not, right? Like, you've never met her or him, have you? And like the first thing you thought about when you woke up in the morning was her, or maybe the last thing you thought about when you went to bed at night was him, and you couldn't get this thought out of your mind, and there was nothing you wouldn't compromise or bend just to be with her or him. And even though it was falling apart left and right in the back of your mind, you just knew that if we just did this, it was going to be okay. Or if we just did that, or if we just got new sponsors, or if we moved from California to Idaho, where we didn't know anybody, it's going to be okay. Or if we just went into therapy, or when she gets done with the steps, you know, it's going to be okay. And on and on and on and on. And I've lived in the pain of that, and the disappointment of that, and the insanity of that. And just for today, there was a lot of days where I just wanted to die because it wasn't going the way I wanted it to go. And the power of Narcotics Anonymous, the power of a loving God working through this program, kept me, just for today, from not picking up. And here it is 18 years later. You know, we have about 25 minutes each to share. And I want to, speaking of just for today, I want to share a little bit about what's going on in this addict's life, who is pretty connected to Narcotics Anonymous, who focuses every day when he starts his day with reading our Just for Today book. And I don't read it once because I've learned the hard way that reading the Just for Today book once, I might as well not even open it up. Because I look at the words and I have some more coffee, Ron, you know. I've got to read it over, and then I have to read it over again. And my little, I don't know what you call it, my little thing is 3 times. If you want to learn something, Ron, you got to do it 3 times, or you got to say it 3 times. Like, if I meet somebody and I don't remember their name, I'll say, okay, George. That guy's George, okay, his name is George. And then usually when I see him again, hey, how you doing? George, you know, it'll come to me. And with the Just for Today book, I've learned for myself is that I need to read it through 3 times. That's the key. And usually on the 3rd time of reading it, things start to be absorbed inside of me. And another thing I learned about reading the Just for Today book is it's not my responsibility to remember it. I get sponsees, these wise-ass sponsees, you know, they call you up at night and they go, Ron, wasn't that Just for Today great? Oh, yeah, it was great, you know. Well, did you really like what it said? And I'm thinking, oh, I loved what it said. What the hell did it say, you know? I mean, but it's not my responsibility to remember the Just for Today book. It is my responsibility as an addict in recovery to start my day off by reading it. You guys told me that I'm not responsible for results. I'm responsible for suiting up, showing up, doing the footwork, and the results are in God's hands. So every morning, the way this addict starts his day off is he reads the Just for Today 3 times. And then after that, I have another little book that I read that isn't an NA book, and then I pray. And when I pray, what I do is I remember who I really am. I remember who I really am. And that I'm still powerless over my addiction, that my life is still unmanageable, and without the grace of God, I use drugs. That's who I am. I'm more an addict today than I was 18 years ago. The literature tells me that the disease that I carry is progressive, that it gets worse over time, whether I'm using or not. An example of that is, you ever go to buy a new car? And you can't sleep at night because all you can think about is, am I paying too much? I don't know if I'm paying too much. Should I really trust this guy? I could probably get it cheaper somewhere else, and on and on and on, and you can't shut it off. And I think to myself, my God, if my head is running over a freaking car, what would happen if I stuck a needle in my arm again? Think about it. If I picked up a drug again, what would my head be doing to me then? So just for today, I start my day off in prayer. Just for today, during that day, somewhere along the line, I have to say 80% of the days that I live, I talk to another recovering addict. Somewhere in my day, I talk to another recovering addict. I try to stay in touch with our literature, and I'm doing a poor job of that. I used to do it on a daily basis, and because of this obsession that I'm going to share about pretty soon with you lately, I'm getting further and further away from that. I have less and less time to dedicate, but I try to stay in touch with our literature on a weekly basis. Every night when I go to sleep, as an act of sanity for me, I get on my knees before I get into bed, and I thank God for another day clean. And the reason that this addict gets on his knees, it's an act of humility for me. It's an act of sanity for me. Because, see, I know how I am. And I know this addict, if he starts getting into bed, laying on his back, and okay, I'll pray now, I'll probably do that for a couple of weeks, couple of months. But then, see, a lot of times I don't feel good and I'm tired. So then the laying on my back on the bed, and I'll forget, and I'm a little tired, or my prayers will get a little shorter, and before you know it, I won't be praying at all. I'll be getting in bed, closing my eyes, and going to sleep, and forgetting that I didn't do this. You see, if the obsession hits me right now, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to walk right past all he is, and I'm going to go get high, because that's what I do. No human power can stop that. So every night, as an act of sanity, I sanely remember that I didn't do this, that God, working through Narcotics Anonymous, has given me another day clean. And that's just for today. And I've been doing that just for today for the last 18 years. No matter where I am, I do that. I want to share what's been happening with me, just to give you an idea. One of the things I love in Narcotics Anonymous is when in a meeting somebody who's sharing states how much clean time Narcotics Anonymous has given them. Now, I've heard like, oh, that's not very humble. Oh, no, you shouldn't say how much clean time you have. Bullshit. If I'm powerless over my addiction and my life is unmanageable, if I've got 50 years, it ain't about me anyhow, is it? I'm powerless. My life's unmanageable. Every day clean I get is through the power of Narcotics Anonymous, not me. So it has nothing to do with stroking my ego. I'm a hopeless, helpless dope fiend. What it does is two things. Number one, it tells whoever's in that room that, hey, that person has been able to stay clean through the program of Narcotics Anonymous for so many days. The other thing is it tells the newcomer that this is the most deceiving thing. This drives me nuts. I don't know why I'm saying this, but I got to say it. It drives me nuts when I hear someone humbly saying, well, I've been around here for a few 24 hours. What the hell does that mean? Does that mean 2 24 hours? Or does that mean 12 24 hours? Or is that 120? What the hell does that mean? That's not humility. That's almost dishonesty. I think the newcomer needs to know that, hey, this guy has been here for 18 years, and look at him. He's crying. Holy shit. He just lost his job. 18 years clean. He's fallen apart emotionally. I guess it's okay for me with 60 days if he's got 18 years. You see the power in that? You see the identification in that? It's not egotistical for an addict to state how long they've been clean. It's not about them anyhow. It's about what NA's been doing in their life. Lately I have been literally killing myself through a lack of faith. And this is what I want to share about. I've got a number of illnesses going on. I have my entire recovery, and they're starting to get worse. And so I've thought to myself, you know what? I want to live a little bit. I want to stop working. I want to do some things. So I came up with this plan, and I don't know if this is going to happen. This is what I want to do. I don't know what God has in store, but I thought, you know what? In 2 years, I'd really like to retire. And so that's like a goal. 2 years from now, I would like to retire and not work anymore. Now the fear starts. Well, you're going to need money to do that. You don't have enough money to do that. So now the boss says, hey, we got plenty of overtime. Who wants to work? Now, mind you, I've got like 5 different doctors. You know what I mean? I may not look it, but I've got a lot of illness things going on. And one of the worst things that happens to me with my conditions is if you work long hours, I get sick. And so, like, right away, the fear and insecurity of not having enough money, I'm not trusting God, am I, just for today? And it's like, I'll work. Yeah, I can do it. Okay, I'll work. And then I look around me and everybody else is working, so I'm justifying it. Now, think in your mind what this sounds like, okay? It has to do with work, but okay, I'm sick. I know it's going to kill me, but I need the money because I want to retire in 2 years, so I'll work. And then I look around me and I go, see, it's okay, Ron, because they're all working, so you can work. And then while I'm doing these long hours, I go, see, one day at a time, you got through it, you did all right, you put in 13 hours today, woo, that's a lot of money. And then the carrot is, in my company, you get to 49 hours and it goes to double time. So, hey, you got to put in big hours because, you know, the carrot's out here and you want to make the big money. So now I find myself working Monday 13 and a half hours, Tuesday 13 hours, Wednesday 12 hours, getting to the carrot, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm bleeding like a sieve from my colon. And I have no energy. And my guts are just totally in disarray and I'm in pain and now I can't even sleep at night. And one more time, I've justified and rationalized an insane behavior out of the fear and insecurity of not trusting God at 18 years clean. But just for today, I have a way to overcome that. I just met with my sponsor Thursday night. I did some steps on the situation that I see killing me. And you might laugh at me, but I'm like a newcomer. Next time I want to work overtime, guess what I have to do? I call my sponsor. Hey, you know what? Like my fiance Michelle said, you know, I can't stand this anymore, watching you kill yourself. She says, you're not even going to be here in 2 years if you keep this up. So I want to share that with you for 2 reasons. Number one, to say that clean time gives me a lot of experience living clean and practicing this way of life. But it does not free me from the nature of addiction. The nature of addiction will be with me until the day I die. The wonderful message of hope in Narcotics Anonymous is that I don't have to be a slave to the nature of addiction anymore. It doesn't mean I'm not going to make mistakes, and it doesn't mean I'm not going to get caught up in these little trips from time to time. But what it does mean is that I can overcome my powerlessness and unmanageability just for today. What a wonderful, wonderful program that we've all been blessed with. I appreciate this program. It's been saving my life for the last 18 years. It's brought healing in my family. It's brought healing in my relationships with other human beings. It's brought sanity and stability to my life. And the main thing that it's done for me, it's allowed me a way to live without using drugs 1 day at a time. I'm really, really happy to see the faces that I see here today. I'm really, really blessed and grateful to be a part of Narcotics Anonymous, and I hope that you guys all enjoy this wonderful convention that the people here in San Fernando Valley have put on for us to enjoy. Thanks for letting me share.